The following is a production of Gearhead Media. All right, welcome back to the All Automotive Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Clausen. I'm a 20-year shop owner, and I'm also an ASE master technician, so I know how to fix them. So today I wanted to talk about extended service contracts. What is the best extended service contract, extended warranty for your car? Well, we'll get to that. We'll go over that stuff. And along the way, I'm going to tell you and answer questions that I get asked on a regular basis about what is the best one to get? What coverage should I get? Should I buy it at the dealership? Should I buy it when I buy my used car? Should I talk to the bank? So I'm going to answer those questions in the next 30 minutes or so. So sit back and relax, fasten your seatbelts. I thank you all for being here, and welcome back to the All Automotive Podcast. All right, so a question I get asked probably multi times a week is, what extended service contract do you think is the best one? I'm looking for something to defray the cost of getting these repairs. And let's face it, folks, the repair costs have gone up significantly in the last couple of years, really since COVID. And we've had, nationally, we've had a lot of inflation, which has created some issues there, and not only with the tariffs that our current president has invoked on some of the parts that we get from other parts of the world. That's certainly making things difficult for us as we move forward too. So with the rising cost of what it takes to fix your car nowadays, a lot of customers are enlisting the help of extended service contracts. Some of these contracts are better than others. And like I said, I'm going to go over some of the ones that I think are the better ones to give you some help. So in the continental U.S., I know I've got a lot of listeners across the world. And, well, I would assume that some of these are sold in your neck of the woods. But primarily, I'm talking about the continental United States, including Alaska and Hawaii. So what we're looking at as far as extended service contracts is, I get asked this question, which one is the one I should get? And just for fun, I suck this into my favorite AI generation thing on the internet. And I said, what I asked was, what company has the best extended service contract for my vehicle? Now, Mr. Smarty Pants, I use Gemini. I'm part of the Gemini world in Google, and that's the one I use. You can use ChatGPT or whichever one, OpenAI or Copilot, whichever one you want to use. I would assume that it's going to be around the same stuff because it's searching the same things on the internet. So I just asked it, what's the best extended service contract for my vehicle? Now, this Smarty Pants Gemini tells me that the best overall is endurance warranty. So if you go back a couple of episodes, we did talk with the creator of that, Richard Holland, and he brought endurance warranty into the forefront of extended service contracts. Now, there's some things that we all need to kind of look at too. And it's just like, it's not just me telling you what extended service contract is the best, because as a repair shop owner, there are some that are on television all the time and have very high level actors promoting their products that aren't good. I'm sorry, folks. And like I said, I'm going to go over some of the ones that I think are good and that you should go for and do and research them yourselves. And it's like anything else. You just want to do your research on your own. But if I can give you some help and some pointers as a shop owner, and these things, they take time for us as service individuals to, number one, we diagnose your vehicle, and then we have to call this company, most likely sit on hold for 15 to 20 minutes while we wait for an adjuster. We speak to this adjuster. We give them the parts and labor and tax and rundown, and then they put us on hold for another 5 minutes or so while they check all the stuff to make sure what we're telling them is what they're coming up with on their end, which that's fine. They're paying the bill. And most of the time we're very accurate with our estimate. It's just, they're not very accurate with what they want to pay us. So if they don't pay what the shop charges, then there could be an additional cost to you, the customer. So the better warranty that you get, and Endurance is one of these that pays the shop's rate and will also pay a decent markup on the parts. And, we can have it. That's a whole podcast in itself, is how and why we do the things we do as a shop. And pretty simply, I can just put it to you. We're in business to make money, and we're not here as a charity or as a hobby. We're here to get your vehicle fixed and get you back on the road so that you're safe along with everyone else that's around you. Because we don't want to put something on your car that's substandard and you unfortunately have an accident, and you not only hurt yourself, but you hurt someone else that's not even involved with anything that we're doing. So that's something you want to keep in mind too, is that we're not only trying to protect you, we're trying to protect the guy that's driving past you on the other side of that yellow line. So again, getting back to Endurance warranty will pay our labor rate, pay our parts price, and they will also pay the tax. You most likely will have a $100 to $500 deductible depending on your contract. It's kind of like health insurance, but the difference between that and health insurance would be that you have a deductible every time you come and bring your car in. If it's a covered repair, the deductible will apply. If it's not a covered repair, then be prepared to pay that shop for their diagnosis. Like we've had a vehicle in last week, and it needed a CV axle in the front. It was an all-wheel drive vehicle, and it needed an axle shaft. It was making noise. The boot ripped and all the grease flew out of the CV joint. So they said they had an extended service contract. So we compiled the estimate, contacted the company, and they came back after our rundown of the parts and labor, and they checked, and they were like, well, the contract states that it doesn't cover this part. Okay, so that's something that we need to look at too, is when we're looking at these contracts, we want to get the most comprehensive one that you can get. None of them are going to be as good as your 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty that you get when you buy your car brand new. It's not a quote bumper to bumper coverage of things on your car. So if it's a mechanical warranty, and there's several different levels, and a lot of companies will use like silver, gold, platinum, ultimate. There's several different things, but you have to take a copy of that contract before you sign it. And let me just say this to you in clear words. Before you sign, please make sure that you know what it covers, because some of the commercials that are out there, I watch, not any different than anybody else. I come home from work and we watch TV, and there's a certain company called Car Shield that has commercials on all the time. Why? Because they're trying to make money by getting you to buy a contract that doesn't cover anything. It's kind of like they hope that you're like the person that signs up at the gym and doesn't go. They want you to not, hopefully they're betting on you not having to fix your car or not having to pay for any repairs. So let's just talk about Car Shield for just a second, and I'll elaborate on that. We've had nothing but trouble with Car Shield, and Car Shield would be one that I would not recommend, simply because we had a customer come in with a engine failure, and we contacted the customer, told them what was going on. Oh, I've got this warranty through Car Shield. Okay, great. We've never had very good luck with Car Shield, but we'll call them to see if they'll participate in any part of this repair. So Car Shield says, after we tell them what's going on, they're like, okay, well, we're going to send an adjuster out to take a look at this vehicle, which that's fine. It's kind of like an insurance. Shingles fly off your roof on your house, and adjuster has to come out and take a look at it. No problem. I understand that. And they're paying a large bill. An engine repair is not a cheap thing. So they come out and they look at the car and they give their opinion. And most of the time, these are third-party inspectors. There's a couple of them that they've come in before on different warranty companies, but Car Shield employs the ones that will give them the most ammunition to deny your claim. So in this particular instance, they required maintenance records. Well, was the engine taken care of? Did they change the oil? Well, they did. They did. In the time they had that vehicle, they changed the oil 3 times. And this is something that I've talked about before on this podcast, is that if you don't keep your documentation of said repairs,
we will be back after a short break.
Hey guys, it's Matt Clausen, your host of the All Automotive Podcast. I've been in the automotive industry for over 30 years. I've owned my own repair shop for the last 15 years. I was going to write a book, but I started this podcast instead. So come join me for my take on vehicle extended service contracts or what to look for when purchasing a used vehicle. Like and subscribe to the All Automotive Podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening now. Especially maintenance work like oil changes. This is critical for your success in getting a repair covered. And it doesn't matter if it's your transmission, your drivetrain, the rear differential, the transfer case, anything powertrain. You want to make sure you're maintaining the fluid that makes everything go inside. So this person had all their documentation. We had to make copies of it, faxed it in. You know what their reason was? There was too much time between oil change 2 and oil change 3. And oil change 3 was just about done and needed to be serviced again. It needed to be serviced again. It was due for its oil change, which, the adjuster and I caught that. I'm like, well, it's due, but how many of us have gone over our oil change interval? A lot of us. But if you have an extended service contract and your vehicle is in 2005 or newer, 2015 or newer, you've most likely got an extended service contract, or you were offered one when you bought the car. Now, if you're comfortable with fixing your car without having to have any help, then you don't have an issue. But again, it's maintenance records. And I've talked about this before. Like I said on my podcast before, it's very important that you keep the documentation about anything that you're doing, especially if your vehicle's under warranty, especially if it's under a factory warranty or these kind of warranties. Don't let your guard down just because you think everything's going to be okay. Some things don't work out the way we want them to. But so they denied the claim because they said that the distance between, or the time interval between oil change 2 and oil change 3 was too long. That they claimed that the engine wasn't taken care of or wasn't maintained properly. Oh, and you want to let me just tell you how bad of a position that puts us in as a shop. When you have an extended warranty and you have this expectation of, well, they're going to cover it because it's the engine and the engine's covered. Any internally lubricated parts of that engine are covered. Well, again, it's in there. You just got to read it to find it. And whether you say, I'll come back tomorrow because I need to read this in its entirety, or, hey, Matt, I was at the dealership and they're offering me this extended service contract. Can you take a look at it really quick and tell me if it's a good one or not? If you have a trusted repair facility that you deal with, you know what? Most of the time, we know. All you have to do is walk in our door and say, hey, Matt, do you recommend CarShield? No. And my service manager and all my technicians know the same thing. And now don't buy your car online and think you're going to get a warm and fuzzy blanket either. The most popular online car buying site starts with car and ends in Vana. Doesn't like to pay their shops to repair their cars either. They do everything they can to not pay for things. So we do not recommend Silver Rock, who is part of Silver Rock Warranty, is what you get if you buy a car from Carvana. And they're not good, according to myself, and that's my opinion. And I bet you if I called 10 of my shop owner friends across the nation, they would probably agree with me. So beware of online car buying as well. But please take the afternoon or the evening. It's not a decision. Buying a car is not I'll just go to the dealership and wham, bam, we're done. No, it's not. It's look at it, drive it, talk to it's a long process. I could go on and on, but if you take the time to read it and read through it and see what the exclusions are or what the provisions are of the warranties, then you know what you've got. Because a lot of these companies, they know that the car has got this particular issue, so they exclude it from their contract because it's a common issue on this car. That's not your fault. It's the fault of whoever designed it or whoever manufactured it. It's not our fault either, but like I said, puts us in a very bad spot. So now we had to call that customer back and tell him that it was not covered, and consequently the customer canceled their policy. And I don't know if he used the refund that he got from them to help pay part of the repairs to get his engine replaced. And it just turned into a bad situation that we really didn't have to deal with if we were dealing with a different extended service contract company. Now, I'm not saying that the ones I'm going to recommend are high and mighty and do everything right, because they don't, but there are ones you really need to stay away from. And another quick story about CarShield, and this unfortunately hit home and hits close to myself as my uncle Robert lives in Maine, had a GMC Terrain, and I see him maybe once or twice a year. He comes down to visit my mother, and we try to get together so that we could see him. And he's telling me this story about how his engine blew on his GMC Terrain, and that he had this extended warranty and that it should cover it and all this stuff. And then, because I think he was in the process of, it was at the shop, and they were going back and forth, but his claim got denied too, because of, they claimed lack of maintenance. And so I was really, really sad for him, because he was in a position to where he had to now pay out of pocket for something that he thought was covered, and they were going to pay some of it. He goes, well, I didn't expect him to pay all of it, but he knew that he could get some sort of coverage because he'd had that warranty since right after he bought the car. So again, I feel really bad for him, because I believe I spoke to my mother, and I think he ended up just trading the car in with a blown engine, and took a significant loss, and then just had to get a different vehicle. And, you know, folks, there's another horror story about that particular warranty company. And, you know, my intent with this is to educate you as a consumer on what ones, you know, which way to go, instead of not the most popular in your face option. Because they do. I mean, they got good marketing. I mean, Ice-T and whoever else they got, CarShield, you know, they're on the TV all the time. You can't watch Law and Order or one of these other TV shows without seeing Ice-T on a commercial too for CarShield. So we've gotten two. There's two that aren't the greatest, CarShield and Silver Rock. So you Carvana people, beware. I would just say buy the car from Carvana, and then go to your bank and say, you do loans for cars all the time, right? Yep. Do you deal with an extended service contract company or a warranty? What do you recommend? Now, I've had several different scenarios come up, and we've got a local credit union that does a very good job, and they have their own, they get together with the used car lots in town, the dealerships in town, and they have a annual car sale. And during this car sale, you pick out, everybody shows up, and it's in one of the big parking lots where all the stores are and stuff. So they use this. So they take so you just go to one place and you can walk around and see all these dealership cars. Great idea, right? Yeah. So the bank makes out because they get car loans, and the dealerships make out because they sell cars. But you as a consumer make out because they usually give you a good deal, but then the bank wants to protect that interest. protect their interest in loaning you the money because they deal with an extended service contract company that is very reputable, pays the shop's rate, pays the parts. All you have is a deductible. If it's a listed item on the contract, no problem. Here's your claim number. Send it in. We'll get you paid. And they pay us with a credit card or a check, just like you would. They pay us with a company check, but they pay us exactly how you would. We fax it in. They send us over a one-time use credit card. Bam. Our life is good. We move on. So one of the things I wanted to talk about too is not only read this contract, but make sure that if you know that this car has specific issues, you know, the internet's out there. Do your research. You'll find out that there are certain things that this car has problems with. You know, and you can get maintenance contracts. You can get things to cover the tires, things to cover your seats. There's all kinds of contracts out there. It's just, does your car fit the criteria for them to give you, or I say give, for them to sell you an extended service contract? Well, maybe not. So let's get back to this Google thing. So I asked Gemini. So top rated providers in 2026, we already talked about Endurance. I disagree with their next choice, which we've talked about, CarShield. So I disagree with that. They say it's best, or Gemini says it's best for high mileage cars, which not a good scenario. Zurich has a good one. They have one of the best claims processes that I think we deal with. They have an online portal. We log in, we punch in what's wrong with it, condition, cause, and correction, check engine lights on. We check the system, found it need a cam phaser on the exhaust cam of the front bank of cylinders. It's a V6. We need to pull the front cover off, pull the camshaft out, replace this actuator phaser on the end of the cam, and put everything all back together. And here's the labor, the parts, all the stuff we're going to need. And we hit send. No talking to anybody on the phone with this company. And pretty quickly, they will get back with us. I mean, we tell our customers, 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes that's a reality. Most of the time it's not. They get back to us by at least the end of the day. And if there is an issue if they do take issue with something that we've put in there, they call. They'll call and they'll say, hey, why does it need this? Okay, well, this is because XYZ. Oh, okay. Well, that's not covered. Okay, fine. So this part, gasket or seal or something, wasn't covered. All right, fine. That's a customer's expense now. That's cut and dry. But it's very simple. They'll send us back the approval. We're good. We can just move forward. And Gemini also says the best maintenance benefits is Omega Auto Care. If I could log into my shop software, I could probably tell you one of the other ones that I would recommend. And let me just pull this up. If I can get the customer's name, bear with me here. She brought her Jeep in and we did some work to it.
We will be back after a short break.
Hey everybody, Matt here. Wanted to take a minute to talk about our main sponsor, GeForce Automotive. Did you know that they're a certified service center through Auto Value? What does that get you, you say? Well, that gets you 3 years or 36,000-mile warranty on select repairs. Want to know more about that? Visit their website at www.geforceautomotive.net. Click on that banner that says Make an Appointment and make your appointment today. We're proud to have them on board as the main sponsor of the All Automotive podcast. So now let's get back to it. More of the All Automotive podcast. And, what is it? 21, yeah. Let's just look here. It's a Lux. Here it is. Let's just look at this. View invoice. The company that it was called was AssureGuard Warranty. And man, it was a 800 number. We had to call in. No big deal. We got her vehicle diagnosed. Because she came in and I was a little skeptical at first, but she was like, well, I called them and they said that the struts and these control arms and stuff are covered. And I was like, okay. Well, a lot of times struts aren't because it's a normal wear item. A lot of service contracts do not cover suspension parts, brake parts, lots of other stuff that they don't cover because it's a normal wear and tear item. Brake pads, brake rotors, but the hard brake parts like calipers, ABS units, but they don't cover lines that could rust or deteriorate over time. Anyway, she was talking about these control arms, which I would assume that the control arms would have been covered. And also, she was talking about the struts were covered. Okay. So we brought her car in, verified the concerns that she had. And again, it was an 800 number. I called in, no problem. Everything's covered. What's your prices on this? What's your labor rate? We told them the labor rate. And then we told them the prices on the parts. And this particular extended service contract was like, well, what's the list price of the Dodge part? Or the Jeep OE manufacturer part. And he goes, well, let's look that up really quick. If this is, we can't be over that. And I was like, okay, well, that's fair. So we looked and the list price of the struts were more than the ones that we put on that, we use Monroe, a very reputable company that's based, part of their operations are based not very far from our shop. So local guys selling local stuff, keeping local people employed, right? So we put these Monroe struts on it for her, and those were covered. And her contract was very comprehensive. So AssureGuard warranty is one of my other ones that I would say would be a good one to get. But if you do go to one of these, bigger car dealerships, if you're talking about at least the big three, and what I mean by that is GM, Ford, and Stellantis or Chrysler, we all know the drill, right? We've got the car picked out, we've got all the stuff, we've agreed on a price, and now you go into the finance manager's office, and I should call my old friend Mickey and see if he would be willing to be on this show, because he was in our finance office for a long time, and he was in sales at first and then transitioned to the finance. But as a salesperson at heart, Mickey's one of the best on the job, doing that job, because he's very personable, very good with customers, cracking jokes and telling things, but he would take the time to tell you what was covered with this warranty and what was not covered with this warranty, because we put an alternator on a 2014 Mini Cooper, and the OE original equipment alternator was $1,600 just for the part. Not to mention the fact that it's buried in there and took us 3.5 hours to replace it because it's not in a very good spot. So that turned into a very big expense for that customer. So think about that kind of thing. Also, when you're doing that, you're at the dealership. Do they have a service department? Man, take that car, walk out there and talk to the guys out there, especially if it's something that's under their nameplates out front. If you're going to a Jeep place to buy a Jeep, you better go back to the service department and say, hey, dude, I'm buying this car out here. What do you see going on with it? Maybe they're going to be honest with you. I would hope so. It's like, well, the Jeep's suspension parts, Wranglers. People put these big tires on and expect these little suspension parts to hold up. So make sure the suspension's covered. Hello? Is this on? Yeah. So again, just make sure, and let's get back to Mickey. Mickey was such a good ambassador for the dealership too, but he also would explain those things to you and say, look, this contract costs this much. Between this, and this, it's going to be 3 times what you pay for this warranty. And these items are covered under your warranty. And one of the most popular things back, I don't know, early mid 2000s when I was working at the dealership was alternators, starters, wheel bearings, common things. Because, we live in Michigan, their wheel bearings take a beating. We have potholes everywhere. So keep that stuff in mind, folks, when you're deciding on an extended service contract. We talked about a couple that were not the greatest. And we talked about a couple, 3 or 4 of them that were really good. And so getting back to this question I asked Gemini about what was my vehicle. Because that's the question I asked. I said, what's the best extended service contract for my vehicle? And because Gemini knows me, he's like, the paragraph after it says what his choices were for the top contracts was for vehicles equipped with high performance engines like the GM 6.2 liter L87. That's the engine that was recalled. That's in my truck that, for some of my fellow Silverado buddies are quote unquote ticking time bombs. So be careful what you ask for, because I got what I asked for. It's telling me what I should do with my vehicle. It knows I have a 24 Silverado with a 6.2 liter V8 that was recalled. While recent recalls have addressed specific manufacturing issues such as bearing failures, these repairs often do not cover secondary damages or failures that occur outside the specific recall window. Choosing a supreme or exclusionary plan, which covers nearly all mechanical parts except small listed items excluded, is often recommended to ensure primary engine components are protected against future breakdowns. Couldn't have said it better myself. So keep that in mind when you're out there trying to pick out your next vehicle service contract. Let's review. We read the contract. We look and see what it covers and what it doesn't cover, what exclusions are on this contract. Don't try to be an Uber driver and expect to get paid on a claim on your engine or transmission because you drive people around for a living and use it as a taxi. Pizza delivery, accidents. That's one of the first 2 or 3 questions I ask you when we call in. Is it used for commercial? Is it have commercial use? No. Or yes, it does. Something else to think about too. So read it. See what's covered, what's not covered, what exclusions are there. And by all means, do your research on what the name of the company is and what kind of reputation they've got. Do they have a reputation for denying claims? It's a simple question that you can ask any one of these AI-generated things. Take it with a grain of salt because you should make your own educated decision based on friends, family, the repair shop that you go to, the dealership that you go to. We're here for you. I'm here for you. Send me a message. Send me some fan mail. Ask me a question. We've done that before. Ask Matt. We're going to do another one of those. So it's pretty much buyer beware and buyer be educated. So get the facts, know your facts, and make the best decision for you, your budget, and everybody else that drives on the other side of that yellow line. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of the All Automotive Podcast. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope you got some insight on some extended service contracts. Did you guys know that we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Alexa? Look us up. Hey, hit us up on our social media at All Automotive on both Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, I'm Matt Clausen. Hey, keep that greasy side down, would you?